Morjesta! Me ollaan varmaan livenä nyt, vaikkei tuossa niin kuin mun YouTubessa hirveästi näykään, mutta tosiaan tänään meillä on ihan spessu lähetys, että mulla on aivan vitun pahoja teknisiä ongelmia näköjään taas, että ei se mitään kuitenkaan, mennään tällä, että mulla on Vieraana toi Sonny von Cleveland tuolta Amerikan ihmemaasta, ja me sovittiin hänen kanssaan, että kun mun enkku on pikkusen parempi kuin hänen suomen kielensä, niin vedetään tää lähetys ulkomaaksi, että sopiihan teille. Ja vaihdetaan kieltä nyt saman tien lennossa. So we are having this live broadcast here. We are going to have this in English. We talked about this with Mr. Sonny von Cleveland earlier, and since my English is slightly better than his Finnish, we are going to have this broadcast in English, if that's cool with you. And well, it's my channel, so it better be cool with you guys. So how I found this guy has been asked from me. I was sent a message from my homeboy Jouni Tikkola like a month or 2 months ago, and he was like, "Hey, Carlos, come to this chat and say hello there." I was like, "What the fuck, man? You can't write hello by yourself." But I thought I would humor him, so I went there and said hello in there, and I noticed that this guy is full of energy and attitude. So I started following him, and then I saw him on some other shows, and I was informed that he has had a pretty shitty childhood and basically life. So I thought, I gotta find out what this dude is. And obviously, I can't just give him a call like, "Hello, this is Carlos from the other side of the globe. You don't know me, but I want to know everything about you." That wouldn't work. There would be a fucking restraining order pending in there. So I decided to do it this way. And thanks to all you 39 people watching this is not stalking. This is journalism or an interview. And I am not a creepy stalker, but a talk show host. And Mr. Cleveland is not a victim, but a guest of honor. So without further bullshit, let's bring in Sonny von Cleveland from United States of Mind. Welcome, Johnny.
Hey, moi, my friends. Thank you so much for the restraining order is actually on the way.
Yeah, the Finnish mail must have lost it. I have been asked that you would not speak with an accent or with a dialect, but a proper English, because most of my viewers are from Finland, so they and I might have a hard time understanding it if you're starting like, "What's up, metal lovers?"
Okay. I will do my right best to speak good proper English for everybody to understand.
That's better. I don't want you to sound like a mongoloid or anything.
A mongoloid.
So whatever. Like, people don't know who you are. Well, some of these people do. I see ADX is there.
ADX is always on deck, baby. Let's go.
So, Mr. Cleveland, pleasure to have you here, sir. I am going to call you Sonny.
Thank you.
But who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you?
I am just a man that is passionate about trying to inspire the world and change people's perspective and give them a little taste of the beauty of freedom, to understand how beautiful life is, how short it is, how little time we actually have here. And to give people some perspective that no matter what you've been through in your life, no matter how much life is shit on you, you can always get back up and smile and make the best of it.
If I have understood correctly, your life hasn't exactly been a bed of roses, has it?
No, not in the slightest. I don't even know if it was a dandelion. It was a. It's been a pretty rocky life, man.
Yeah, and you're like what, less than 30, 40 years old, and
Uh, I'll
you
be
have
I'll be 40 this year in July.
and you have spent 18 years in prison. That's almost like half of your life.
Yeah, it
What
was
the
actually over half because I got out 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. So at the time, it was over half of my life. So
so what the fuck, dude? I mean, let's let's start with your childhood. Is there something you can use as an excuse to be a fucking jailbird? How was your childhood?
sure. Well, the way it happens, so I'm from a state called Michigan in the United States. Um, when I was 5 years old, I come from a single mother home. My father left when I was, a couple months old. So we were just being raised, me and my mother, and I have a brother. When I was 5 years old, I started getting victimized by men sexually. They started to sexually molest me, starting with my uncle, and then three other men, a couple of my mother's boyfriends, and a friend of the family. So from the age of 5 until I was 10, I was being sexually abused by these four men. Um, and in the course of that, I was trying, I didn't have a trust for men at that point because I knew something bad was happening. And as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, I didn't know how to communicate what was happening. So I wasn't, I didn't know how to understand what was going on inside. And men were, scary to me. So when I was 7 years old, my brother and I were playing around an old church in our town, and we decided to break into the basement and steal some like pudding and some playing cards and just some random stuff. Just a couple of young boys on an adventure, really. But we got arrested for that. We got caught and we got arrested. And because of the political atmosphere of my little town, they charged me with a felony. So at 7 years old, I caught my first felony. Well, in the course of this, I seen here come the police officers. They arrest me. We have to go to court. I'm meeting the lawyers. I'm meeting the judges, and all these men are paying attention to me, and they genuinely seem like they care about me. Like they want to discipline me. And children need that male figure in their life, a disciplinarian. And at the time, I mean, I didn't realize it, but I needed that attention. And when I got that attention from those men that didn't want to hurt me, I was infatuated with it. I wanted that attention from those men because they didn't want to hurt me, and I wanted, a male in my life, a father figure in my life. So turns out the only way to get their attention is to break the law, to get into trouble and have the cops called. So I would start to continuously break the law. I would break things, break into stuff, steal stuff, whatever it took to get the cops out. And the cops would come out, they would arrest me, we would go back down to the courthouse, and here again, all the men that don't want to hurt me, that care about me. So it became a very weird relationship that I developed with the male authority figures in my town. And it continued on. By the time I was 13 years old, all the sexual abuse had stopped because it came out, and these men were arrested, and I'd sunk into a pretty bad place. I was really bullied really bad in school, because I had no confidence. I thought there was something wrong with me, so I was bullied a lot. I would get beat up all the time. On the buses, they were, pulling my hair, spitting in my face, punching me, beating me up, throwing me in the locker, stuffing me into garbage bags, taking my shoes. It was a pretty bad life growing up in school. They were bullying the hell out of me. So when I was 15 years old, when I was 13, I started smoking weed, doing drugs, drinking, having sex, and I grew up pretty fast. So when I was 15, I was in school one day, and I was sitting in the principal's office, and I stole an envelope out of the safe that was in there, and it had a few $1,000s in it. And that was the last straw for the police. They're for the judge. They took me in, they bound me over as an adult. They charged me as an adult, and the judge sent me to prison for 5 years, just out of the blue. I'd never been taken away before. It always just been probation, getting a little bit of trouble. This time they were done. They were like, you know what? We're fed up with it. You're going to prison. So they sent me to prison for 5 years. I was 16 years old. And that started the really bad part of my life as a young man becoming an adult, because now I was raised by this environment. I spent 5 years there until I was 21. And it turned me into an absolute monster, because the prisons in Michigan are pretty rough, especially for a 16-year-old boy being thrown into a level 4 prison with murderers and rapists and killers. And, I fell into the gang banging really hard because I had no friends. I had no family. And the gangs were appealing. The gangs had offered, a sense of brotherhood and community and sanctuary. And it was very appealing to me. So I got involved into that. And I had lost my sense of fear at that point. Like, they when I had first got into prison, a bunch of guys had pulled me to the side, kicked my ass, and told me, "You're tough. You can handle this. You're going to be a man, or you're going to be a bitch." And I'm not going to be anybody's bitch. So I decided to man up, and things were, a lot of fighting, and I became like this sadistic warrior, man. Almost, I got a thrill off stabbing people. I enjoyed the violence. It became a part of who I was. I yearned for the violence as a release. It was a channel for my anger. So a lot of that took place. And then when I was 21, they just released me. They just let me go. There's no probation. There's no parole, no oversight. They just opened the door, gave me 3 condoms and $75 and said, "Good luck." And I was a monster, man. I was an absolute monster. I was 21 years old, and I ran the streets all over the United States. I picked up a buddy of mine, and I really got into robbing drug dealers, beating people up, robbing people, assaulting people. I was just such a bad person because I didn't care. This is all I knew, was this kind of lifestyle that I had been raised in for the previous 5 years. All I knew was gangs and violence. And that translated off into the free world when I was out. And like, I had the goal of becoming like this global gang leader or something. So the mindset was just so askew that I thought that this was what I wanted in my life and that this would be a great reality. So within 2 years, I had racked up another crap load of felonies. I got arrested in September of 2004, and all those felonies caught up with me. And I got charged with a ton of home invasions, a ton of gun charges. I had gun possessions, larceny of firearms, possession of firearms by a felon, and then, the assaults for breaking in and robbing the drug dealers. Who knew you could go to jail for robbing a drug dealer, but you can. And they gave me 12 years for all of that. They were like, you know what? They're like, we're done with you. You are a waste of society. You're a waste of time. You have no direction in life. You are a piece of shit, and we're going to send you to prison. They initially wanted to give me like 30 years, but I took a plea agreement, and I went in for 12. And it was much the same for I felt like I was home, felt where I had belonged, being back in prison. And, I was 24 or 23 at that time when I went back. And it was much the same, except now I'm even more angry. And now I have 2 kids because I got 2 women pregnant in that time that I was out. And life just it was shit. I was back into that mindset of gang banging and being in prison where I was comfortable, and back to the violence and the fighting. And then in 2008, my brother started having an affair with my son's mother, and they had a kid together, and she was the only semblance of sanity that I was holding on to, because she would bring my son up to visit. They would come up and see me, and like that was like the first and only real sense of love that I had in my life. And when I found out she was sleeping with my brother and that they were going to have a kid together, and then my brother took my son away and I wasn't able to see him, her, nothing. And that's when I hit my lowest point in my life. And I assaulted somebody very, very badly and was sentenced to 5 years in the hole for the assault. So when I went down into the hole, there was a man across the hall from me, a Muslim man named Mallory Bay, who was serving a natural life sentence. And he started to talk to me every day. For the first 2 weeks, I hated him. Every time he would call over me, hey, bro. I would just cuss him out. Shut the fuck up talking to me, man. Who the fuck are you, bitch? Don't talk to me. Don't say shit to me. Don't. No. You know? But then after a couple of weeks, loneliness starts to set in. You get really lonely and there's nobody else in the world. And it's just me and this motherfucker across the hall from me that won't shut up. So I started talking back to him. Like, what, man? What do you want to talk about? And the man changed my life. He literally over the course of the next 18 months changed my life. He taught me that as sad and depressed as I am, that I still have value. As much as I've been abused in my life and as much wrong as I have done, as many people as I have hurt and as much as I've been hurt, that I still have value. Because I'm a human being, I still have time to change my life, turn it around and make something positive out of my life, and that I'm worthy of being loved and I'm worthy of loving other people. So he really gave me stuff to think about. And then he started to help me with my passion, finding a passion in life. What are you passionate about? So I started singing and discovered that music was my passion in life that I loved more than anything. And over the course of the next 19 months, I began to write essays. I began to read self-help books. I began to meditate. I began to study everything that I could. So much self-reflection, self-awareness. I sank to the lowest levels of depression. Everything. And, I would talk to myself for hours. You got to realize you're in this cell 24 hours a day, all day, every day. The only time you're leaving the cell is for a shower 3 times a week. They handcuff you, pop the door, walk you down to the shower, put you in the shower, bring you back out, put you back in your room, and you're done. 15-minute affair, over with. You're done. And I sank to I attempted suicide. Even during these discussions that I was having with Mallory Bay, it didn't really sink in and take effect for a few months. But in that time, I was the most depressed. I tried to starve myself to death. I tried to hang myself. I tried so many different ways to just end my pain and misery and suffering. And this is absolute rock bottom. There's not one person on the earth that gave a fuck if I was alive, if I was hungry, if I was cold, if I was lonely. Not one person on the fucking planet gave a shit. I didn't get one letter from nobody. And I love my mother to death. Me and my mother still have a great, we have a great relationship in our life, but she wasn't there. Nobody was there. Not one person gave a fuck. And when you get to that point in your life, that is the absolute rock bottom. A lot of people think that they're alone. They think that they're alone. And then they call their mother, I'm so lonely, or they'll call somebody else, I'm so lonely. And the fact is you called somebody. You had somebody you could talk to. When you have absolutely not one fucking person on the earth that cares if you're alive, it changes you. It changes you as a person. It changes the way you see things. It changes the world for you because you're like, what do I have to lose by becoming a better person at this point? Nobody cares if I'm alive or dead. So now I have to earn that. I have to earn that from people. I have to earn it to where people are going to care if I'm alive. People are going to care if I'm hungry. People are going to care if I'm cold or if I'm lonely. And you start to realize that I have to do this by myself. Nobody's going to pick me up. Nobody's going to come around. The only people I'm interacting with are the COs that make a round every freaking 15 minutes or half hour. And this dude across the hall that won't shut up. And so I start picking myself up. I start this, you have to build something worthy of loving in order to love yourself. You realize how amazing of a person you are because you're alive. Simply the fact that you are here on this planet means that you have a purpose. You have a reason for being here, and you're going to inspire somebody if you can just become self-aware. And so I did. And I started writing these essays, and I started shooting them out to the administration in the prison, and they started to see the change that I was going through. So I initially had the 5-year sentence in the hole, and after 19 months, they came to me and said, listen, we see the change that you're doing, and we love that. We have this program we'd like you to learn called Thinking for a Change, and we'd like you to teach this class. So I said, okay, for sure. I'm sick of being in the hole. I've been in here for a freaking year and a half. I want to get out of here. So I went and I taught the class to the most vile, disgusting freaking people in prison, the protective custody unit. This is where all the child molesters, and as one would expect, I have a very salty spot in my life for pedophiles. And I mean, there was a point in this prison journey of mine that I would assault pedophiles on site. If I see you and I know that you're in here for molesting children, I'm fucking you up, man, period. Because I took all that anger out that I had from being a victim myself on other pedophiles. Like, you are a predator who has fucked some kid's life up, and you deserve to be punished in the worst ways possible. So now I have to go teach these guys. I have to be nice. I have to teach you who love to rape children. I have to teach you how to be a better human being, how to stop being a piece of shit and be a better person in life. And I took that challenge and I aced it. I was able to reach these dudes, these men, and help them to see life differently and see the pain that they're causing and the shit that they're hurting and what you're doing to people, and was able to change their lives. And at that moment, I realized I have the power and the ability to help somebody to change their life, to help you see life differently, and how you could, how you can make a better impact on the world. Instead of being a problem, you can be a solution. And once I finished that, they let me out of the hole. And that's where the real violence started. Here, I would think like, this is over. I have a new mindset. I'm confident. I'm happy with myself. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to make a difference. And I got out and I forgot that I was in a gang. And the gang did not like that. The gang did not like me becoming a better person, not wanting to still be a gangbanger, still being violent, still stab people. And I had to end up fighting the gang because they wanted me to come back. And I told them I'm not going to. I'm a different person. I'm a better person. I'm done with that life, and I'm done with it. And they started jumping me every fucking day, man. I'm getting my ass kicked. Every day they're jumping. I go to the bathroom to take a piss. Here come 4 or 5 of them beating my ass. You know what I mean? You go to chow hall, somebody will, throw a battery at the back of my head, and I get hit in the chow line with a battery. Or, eating my lunch at the lunch table and randomly get frickin' sucker punched in the side of the face and fall down and get stomped on. And this took place for about a year, that they would not just stop fucking me up. And I'm like, dude, leave me alone, man. And they wouldn't. So I had to go very violent one more time. I tried everything I could to get them to leave me alone. And some men, especially in that environment, only speak one language. And I had to talk to them in their language. So I severely hurt the leader of the gang very badly. And they left me alone. They understood I mean business. And if you don't stop messing with me, I am going to hurt you severely bad. And they stopped. So now I had about 5 years left to go. This was 2008, 2009. This was like 2012, I think, when it finally stopped. And I had about 4 or 5 years to go. And the last 4 or 5 years of my bit was a blessing, because I spent the rest of that time dropping my level, staying out of trouble, and helping everybody around me. A lot of inmates, I would hold classes 3-4 times a week on the yard of my own accord, no authorization or nothing from the administration, just men that truly wanted to change the way they see life and change their perspective. And we would meet on the yard 2, 3, 4 times a week and have these discussions in these classes. And these conversations are changing these people's lives. They're seeing things differently. And this is where I started to develop my ability to talk to people and to have these interactions with other people. And I knew that this is something I'm so passionate about that when I get out of here, this is my goal in life. This is what I want to do. Music and helping people. Those are the two things. I wanted to motivate people and I want to make good music. And I did. When they finally let me out in 2016, I thought the day would never come, but they did. And I came out and hit the ground running. I went and I got a job doing demolition. I worked my ass off to get myself in a position that I could start a band and play music. I met my beautiful wife. I was married at the time when I got out of prison, and I ended up getting a divorce because her and I, we're great friends to this day. In fact, I'm going over there tonight with my wife to my ex-wife's house to go see their new home. But it didn't work. So I got out, was working demolition, saved up enough money, met my wife, started running a club over here. I was a general manager at a concert venue, moved my way up through that, built a band called Grim Trigger. And, we slammed it, was killing it. And, things happen. COVID happened. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of madness at that point that takes place to where we're at now. But I'm going to give you a breather. I've just been going nonstop.
Yeah, I was like supposed to have few questions here, but I'm like, my jaw is down there. Like, I did know that you have had a rough life, but I didn't know it was that bad. And in this chat we are having here, we have some comments like Osa Maria, who is familiar from your channel, is saying,
Hi, Osa Maria.
My own problems seem pretty small when hearing all that shit he's been going through, and I like wow, that like, normally I'm a murder mouth, not as bad as you are, but normally I can think of something to say, but no, that got me wordless. I mean, nowadays your life is okay. You have a smoking hot wife. Beautiful wife. Mind if I call her smoking hot?
Smoking hot is not fair. I think she is ridiculously hot. Yes, I do have a very smoking hot wife.
Okay, my bad. And you have a beautiful son there living with you, and you just got a puppy. You just got your wife a puppy a few days ago, and everything seems to be going all right. But not everybody who comes from prison makes it like that. No. Everybody wants to go back. Why do they want to go back? I mean, you went back there. Was it such a great place, or why did you go back?
I mean, the food, you can't beat the food.
No, seriously, man.
All right, the food sucks. No, I think the recidivism rate is so high because prison it can be really bad for people, and some people it's so traumatic that they don't come back. But at the end of the day, prison can become comfortable. If you're a shark and you're a stand-up dude and you maintain respect, you walk with pride and dignity, you keep your chin up, you don't take no shit from nobody, and you'll fight in a heartbeat. It gives you stability, and people are there. There's some guys that prefer to be in prison because in the streets they can't get their shit together. They can't get a job. They can't get a car. So the only thing that they're missing in prison, because you can get anything in prison, the only thing they're really missing is the ability to drive a vehicle, because you can get everything from drugs to pussy to whatever you need in prison. You can get it. Everything's available. It just depends on how savvy you are and how much money you have. And so people get comfortable being in prison. I've known so many people that they're there and they refuse to go to the parole hearings. They don't want to leave because it's a roof over their head. It's 3 meals a day. It's, they get some stability in their life. They mean something to somebody. They have a purpose, because they don't know. And the prison system itself, they in America, the prison system is so fucked because it's just a cattle farm. It's just about money. It's a money-making business for the United States. In a lot of states, it's just a business for them. So they keep that door revolving. It's set up to fail. None of the programs that they have in place, some of the programs are really good. They're just not utilized properly. The implementation of those programs, the people that are teaching don't give a fuck about the students. They don't give a fuck about the people that they're teaching. So they don't put their passion into it to help teach them. So if the inmate isn't about wanting to learn and change himself, he's not going to get the help he needs to become a better person when he leaves. He's not going to be able to change his mindset, because prison, all they care about is bringing you in and making you sit there, because they make, upwards of $35 to $60 a day per inmate that they have there. So it becomes, per body that's there is, $35,000 or $36,000 to $50,000 a year that they get per head. So they keep as many people in prison as possible. They want the programs to not work successfully so that people will come back. And it's a system that is designed to fail. And that's why so many people go back. There's a contingency of people that go back because it's comfortable. There's a contingency of people that go back because they were set up to fail. And then there's people that go back because they're just fucking stupid and they don't have any direction in their life. I was part of that last group the first time.
That sounds really fucked up. I mean, your first sentence was 5.5 years. Here in Finland, if you kill somebody, it's 9-year sentence average for manslaughter, and if you're a first timer, you only have to spend half of that time in there, so you will be free in less than 5 years. And you got 5.5 years for some fucking home invasion, and you got 12 years for some other shit, and you didn't even kill anybody. In Finland, you have to actually kill somebody to 5.5 years. For 12 years, you have to actually murder somebody. Like murder and manslaughter, there's a difference. What the fuck, dude?
It's United. Listen, my first time that I went to prison was for stealing a pedal bike, having a stolen cell phone, and stealing a couple of $1,000 out of a school. That was that's what they sent me to prison for at 16 years old. I was technically 15 when I did it and turned 16 in the jail before I went to the prison. And that's what they sent me for. It is such a money-hungry system, especially in the state of Michigan. It's all about money. They don't give a shit. Listen, my one of my best friends, Rick Wershey, was a drug dealer in the 80s in Detroit. He spent 30 years in prison. They just released him this last year. He's just now out. And, they made a movie about him. Matthew McConaughey starred in the movie about him called White Boy Rick. They made this man sit in prison for 30 fucking years for some dope, for some cocaine. The crimes that now people would get 5 years for, if that. They made him sit there for 30 years because of the political schemes behind it. They sentence people to ungodly amounts of time in prison all over the United States. And it's such a tragedy because they're ruining people's lives. They're devaluing human beings and they're throwing them in. It's ridiculous, man. I don't even, man, I could go on for hours about that. It's fucking ridiculous.
Please do.
It's insane. They don't. America is such a materialistic country. They don't give a fuck about people. All they care about is money. That's all they care about. Every aspect of this country is about money, and it's sad because there are amazing people in this country, but it's ran by nothing but money-hungry conglomerates that are out to make money. And the prison system is at the top of that fucking food chain. Every prison in this country is probably overpacked and understaffed. They don't want to pay their staff appropriately, and they pack people in like sardines, and they don't teach them anything. They don't show them. They don't give them the skills to be a better person in the world because they don't care. It has to be up to the people that are in there. And there are some amazing, amazing men in prison. some of these guys that dedicate their life, like Mallory Bay, and he's just one of many. There are so many guys in there that are serving natural life. They'll never be free because that's what America does. That's what Michigan does when you murder somebody. They don't give you numbers. They give you natural life. It's just called natural life. You don't get anything else. You're just going to go sit there for the rest of your life. And some of these men take that and change other people's lives. They're like, listen, I've lost my life. I've given it up. Don't do the same thing I do. They don't have any reason to help anybody, but they know they've made mistakes. I have a great friend of mine named Penn, his name's Richard Penn. And when he was 17 years old, he was with a couple of friends and they robbed somebody. And one of his friends that was there stabbed the guy. The guy died. And Richard Penn has been sitting in prison. He's now almost 50, serving a natural life sentence when he was 17 for that. It's an absolute tragedy. It's disgusting. And when you see the prison system at work, you see how it's like a fucking sports game. They trade players, because they call it transferring people to other facilities because they don't want people to stay in the same facility too long for over familiarization purposes. So they transfer them out constantly. You will, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, but they will transfer people from one facility to another facility several times a month. And they have a central hub that they transfer people at in St. Louis, Michigan. So 3 times a week, 20 buses from all over the state pack here at noon, and they have these cages that they put these inmates in. So at noon every day, from noon to like 4:00 in the afternoon, these cages are fucking packed shoulder to shoulder with handcuffed inmates that are basically shackled. They have a body chain around them. They're shackled to here. Their ankles are chained, and they're stuffed in this fucking cage for hours, shoulder to shoulder. It's hot. There's no air conditioning. They have piss buckets in the back. If you have to piss, just step back there and piss. But you can't do that because it's packed with freaking people. Dudes are passing out. People are fighting. People are dying. People are getting choked to death. Because people are stuck in this little cage for hours. They stick them in there for fucking hours. You will arrive there at 11 a.m. and you won't leave till 5:00 in the afternoon, and you've been shackled the whole fucking time sitting in there. They give you this little sack lunch. They throw it in there with 2 fucking sandwiches and an apple and a juice, and you sit there while people are shitting and pissing and dying and fighting and every fucking thing you can think of in these fucking cages. And they just sit them there like cattle, and it looks like a cattle farm. And then they come in, they open it, shuffle them onto a bus, and you spend the next 6 fucking hours on a bus until you get to a facility. And they do this all the goddamn time. And there's nobody seeing it. Nobody's overseeing this. Nobody's stepping in and saying, what in the actual fuck is going on here with these men? It's a goddamn travesty, man. And you wonder why some people are savage, because you treat them like this. They turn into animals and they want to fucking kill each other. And they wonder what the problem is.
Wow, all the documentaries I'm seeing on TV, it looks like a fucking summer camp compared to that.
It's testimony of yours. It's full of shit. Listen, when they go into those prisons, when you watch like Lockup and all these other things, half of those motherfuckers, you're not gangsters. All right. When they come in, this is a gang leader right here. The gang leader's going to come on camera and talk about the organization. Bullshit. Ain't no fucking gang leader inside prison going to get on camera and talk about the inner workings of a gang on fucking camera in prison because his gang buddies are going to stab the fuck out of him. You're not going to do that. You're not going to so the guys you're seeing on these TV shows are the motherfuckers that are in protective custody that are getting deals to get out of prison early. And we're going to have you come in here and act like a tough guy. You're going to act like a gang leader, and you're going to come in and we're going to paint this picture, this Hollywood picture of prison, because now they're doing that to try to make the family members of inmates feel more comfortable with their people in prison. Yeah, there's a couple of fights and people get messed up because there's a lot of gambling, blah, 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 but it's not so bad. You see, they have meals, they go to the gym, they get to play, they have iPads that, or they got little MP3 players. So it's not so bad. They're hiding the actual shit that takes place in prison through these TV programs. This is not a gang leader that's on this camera telling you about what's going on, because if I was in there in any one of my when I was a gangbanger in prison, if any one of my dudes had gotten on a camera and told them about what we're doing, I would have stabbed the living fuck out of that guy as soon as he came back to the yard. No way you're going to get on camera and tell them about what we're doing. So that shit is fake. Everything you're seeing on those A&E programs, all that shit is fake. It's actors put inside of a prison and put into a fake ass prison cell and a fake ass prison unit. You know, they're full of shit.
So basically, I am a skinny white motherfucker. If I were sent to jail in the States without no contacts in there, would my only option to survive for more than 24 hours to find the biggest, baddest, meanest motherfucker and spread my ass cheeks and say, I'm gonna be your bitch? Would I make it alive there?
That would be the quickest way you would die, because they honor stand-up dudes. If you're not a rat, you're not a pedophile, you're just a stand-up dude, you're fine. You'll be okay. You go in there, you let them know, yeah, I'm not going to take no shit from nobody. Don't fuck with me. And generally, they'll leave you alone. Prison time can be relatively easy as long as you mind your own fucking business, stay out of other people's shit, and do your own thing. Don't gamble. Stay off the goddamn poker tables. Don't be gambling. Don't get into the gangbanging. Mind your own fucking business. It's that simple. You can go get a job. You can do your own thing. There are a lot of guys that come there and just serve their time and go home. And I mean, I'm friends with a lot of them still to this day. But as long as you don't go in there doing any bullshit, you'll be okay. But there are going to be times when people are going to test you. And that's the time when, you can't be a bitch. If you're a bitch, you're going to get treated like a bitch. And that's it. So if you were to go in there and I made that mistake that you did. When I first went in, I found the biggest dude that was on the yard and I went up and I punched him. And before he beat my ass, he told me, this ain't the 70s, bro. This ain't the fucking movies. You don't have to come out here and try to pick on the biggest fucking dude you can find to prove that you're tough. And then he beat my ass. So I learned a good lesson out of that one. And that's the difference between Hollywood and reality. Hollywood tells you got to go in there and you got to fight the biggest dude and you got, there's all this shit. When in reality, if you just go in there and be a stand-up dude and mind your own business, you're going to be fine. You might get into a few fights, but it's prison. You could expect a couple fights.
Yeah, I mean, all the things I have learned about prisons in the United States, in there, are from Hollywood. That is why I wanted you, sir, to visit me to tell how it actually is. So it ain't that sugar covered shit Hollywood is feeding you.
Right. Yeah, they paint a wonderful picture because, again, the family members of inmates that are in prison, they care about their family member. They want to know that their family member's okay because communication is a big thing with family. And they make those shows to make people feel like they're okay. Like it's not so bad, they're going to be okay. Here's what prison looks like. Here's how bad it is. And they're full of shit. They're trying to put a veil over something that to try to make it look like it's something it's not, when it's serious. It's serious work in there. You know what I mean?
In those shows, you have like conjugational visits. Is that the word? When you get your wife there and you can fuck her all the time.
It's in some states, and I mean they're very hard on that. It's you have to be married. There's a lot of rules on it, but it's only some states that allow that to happen. It's not. Michigan's not one of them. Trust me. We beg for that shit. We're like, come on, man, get come on with the conjugal visits, man. We need the conjugal visits. But yeah, it doesn't happen.
So whatever. Like I said, I was going to ask you lots of things, but yeah, here's one. You get out of prison. how hard it was to get a new job. I mean, you being an ex-con, telling like, why don't you have any work experience from the past 12 years and shit? Because I was in prison.
Yeah. I
Was
mean,
that
I
tough?
I was pretty lucky. My ex-wife, her best friend had a husband who was a foreman in the union for a really good demolition company here in Cleveland, and they actually came to see me on a visit prior to my release, and they liked me. They knew that I was about my business and that I would be a good worker. So he hooked me up with a job when I got out, and I went and worked my ass off. So I had a pretty good. I had a lucky break on that one when I got out. It was still hard. I still had to go to work every day, be to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and break my back doing demolition work. And I did that for a year. But I was, I took care of business and was on. And a lot of people think that you can't get out of prison because I have a record. I'm not going to be able to get a job, and that's just not the case. Because when you walk into an interview is where you're going to secure a job. It's not about your fucking application. Your application's a piece of paper that gives them points to talk to you about. It's about the interview. When you go in there, you put a smile on your face and you talk with dignity, respect, and directness, they're going to give you a job. You come in and you own it. That's the first thing I would say. When I left demolition, I went and worked at another company called Safeway. I went in there and told them, listen, I've been in prison half of my life. I don't have an extensive work history, but I'm a good worker. I'm an honest dude. I won't steal from you. I won't lie to you. I won't fuck you over. And I just ask that you treat me fairly, and I'll be a good worker. And that has worked for me every time. I've gotten jobs every time because they appreciate transparency and honesty. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's the people that try to hide it that go in and say, well, do I have to check that box? Or it says, you ever been convicted of a felony? Will explain in the interview. You know what I mean? It looks like you're hiding something. So automatically the air of distrust has been placed before you even get into the interview. You know?
Yeah, totally. But like, oh, I lost my I lost my thoughts. I mean, you are talking all the time, so I am trying to think all the time, and then I forget it because I'm like
Write it down. Write it down,
listening to
Carlos.
you, man.
Write it
But
down.
yeah, but I wouldn't think that you have been like almost 22 decades in jail because all of your positivity and energy. How did you keep your sanity in prison? I mean, how did you keep yourself together in there? I mean, knowing that I'm not going to be released next week, not next month, but the next fucking decade.
Uh, I didn't. I didn't keep my sanity. I lost it. I just let it go. I just allowed myself to be swallowed by that shit. And like I said, it wasn't until 2008 when I really started to make that change. And it wasn't until 2012 that I actually was able to effectuate that change. It was still pretty rough, but at that point, you know that there's a future. You hold on to something, and we're so young, and people are in such a rush to accomplish something. People have no patience. They're in such a rush to accomplish something. They're 25 and they don't have a career and they think their fucking life is over. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to be 30. I have no direction in my life. If they were to just do a little bit of research, they would see that most successful people in life were not successful until they hit 40 and didn't even make it until they were 40. And that's when they started to get successful, unless they had a silver spoon or some hand-me-down money that came from a previous father or mother that had a business, or they caught a lucky break, or they're one of those super smart 18-year-olds that create an app or something that gets them billions of dollars. Most successful people worked and earned that shit and didn't get there until they were in their 40s. So when I'm looking at it, here I am 26, 27, 28 years old in prison, and I'm thinking about these changes that I'm going through. I'm keeping in my mind constantly that I have so much time. I'm only there's two ways to look at it. I'm going to be 36 years old when I get out of prison. Oh my God. 36 years old. Half of my life, it's gone. 36. Or I can look at it like I'm only going to be 36 years old when I get out. That gives me 4 years before I even turn 40. So in those 4 years, I can just take it slowly, take it patiently, find something to build upon and work on it. And if I don't have something set in stone by the time I'm 40, maybe I'll go back to school or something, go for 2 years when I'm 42, start working, start another career. By the time I'm 42, I can put 20 years in, be 62 and retire by the time I'm 65 with 20 fucking years in the job. People are in such a rush to accomplish shit in their life. No, they need to be patient. You have so much fucking time. Be patient.
I mean, your positivity and that attitude, that keeps amazing me, dude.
Well, a lot of people always ask me, how are you so positive? How are you so,
I was
how
going
do
to
you have
ask
so much
that.
energy?
Please do answer.
Yeah. Go to fucking prison for half your life. You have no choice but to be fucking happy. I get to walk outside whenever I want to. I get to step out in the rain. I get to wake up next to a sexy ass wife. I get to eat a fucking steak if I want one. I can go take a shit by myself. There's a lot of things to be happy about. I can use a normal toothbrush and put normal toothpaste on it. I can eat a regular meal. I can call up my friend. I can go play a fucking video game. I can be alone if I want to. I can do whatever I want to do. It's called freedom.
Do you think
freedom is the most important fucking thing in the world? The most important thing in the world is to be free. You are a human being. You can do whatever you want. Freedom. That's why I'm so goddamn happy and positive, because I'm free.
Do you think you would be able to appreciate those things, like eating that steak, walking around with your super hot wife, and eating would you be able to appreciate those little things if you hadn't been to the big house?
I mean, I can't
would
say
you just
that.
take them for granted?
I can't say that. If judging off of the path that I was on, I definitely would not have. I would have just been selfish, self-centered, caring about myself. I would not have had that appreciation. That doesn't mean that it wasn't possible that I could have learned that somewhere in that journey of life. I maybe could have, and I don't know. But I don't regret anything that's ever happened. Anything that has ever happened to me, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for it, because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be who I am and where I am. And I'm the happiest that I've ever been in my life right now. So to me, it was all worth it. Scars can't hurt, man. Scars are just ugly. They don't hurt. So worrying about what has happened and being mad about shit you've been through and being depressed about things, it does nothing. It serves no purpose except to hold you back from discovering your purpose in life and being truly happy and truly free.
We have been kind of, well, not ignoring, but not seeing the chat so much. So if you guys have like any questions to Sonny, we
Bring them on.
Just yeah, like he said, bring them on.
Bring it on.
Because I'm sure Sonny is a busy person. He's spending all his time doing these meaningless interviews like mine. But
this is not meaning. Listen, we're helping somebody. Somebody right now that is watching this is taking away something from it.
And I mean, this is probably the one of the best interviews I've ever had. And normally I'm talking to politicians and asking them stupid cliche like questions, but now I'm just listening like, what the fuck is going on, listening to your story. So hey chat, please be interactive. Please ask him something if you want to know something. Well,
go for it. I'm an open book, ladies and gentlemen. Anything you want to know, you can ask. Fire away.
Basically, you did say everything people do want to know, like so it's kind of hard at this point for them to ask, because they are all like joys down on the fucking floor in there. So, but if there are any questions, and if you want to support Sonny, you can do it by subscribing his channel, which is Sonny from Cleveland. Jouni, pistä linkkiä, mikä on Sonnin kanava. Do that, and you have this show called Morning Brew. What is that all about?
So the Morning Brew, that was my buddy Gavin and I. Gavin is another local musician in a band here that I've known for a while, and we were driving through the drive-through at KFC, and I said, we should do something. We should do a show together that we just talk about happy and positive things, man. We should try to find positive news around there because everything's so negative right now. With the American election going on, COVID, and as a whole, mainstream media just paints so much negativity in the world that people forget that there's so much positive happening. There's so much good in the world, and they're missing all the beauty that the world has to offer. And I wanted to do something that highlighted that. And I love to meet new people, and a lot of people love to meet new people as well. And I figured this is an opportunity to bring that positivity out. So we decided to do it. And I got some other people that I know that are content creators that are, we have Dave Farrow, who's a Guinness record holder for memory. We have the owner of a CBD company. We have the world's mayor, Josh, who's a very spiritually enlightened individual. We have April, who's a health and wellness coach. And we just bring positivity every day to something to start your day off. I figured, we could start in the morning. I didn't consider that I have a worldwide fan base and that it's different all around the world. The times are, but so it's an injection of positivity into people's lives. And I absolutely love it. And it's a chance for us to meet new people and hear their stories, man. And I think hearing other people's stories allows us to put some context to our own lives and say, maybe my life isn't so bad, or maybe there's something I could do. You can get inspiration from hearing a stranger's story, or you can compare their life to yours and see that some things aren't so bad. You know what I mean? And maybe find some compassion or some hope or some empathy or some motivation from somebody else's story. So, to realize that everybody has a story. Everybody's going through this thing of life. And if we all work together and we all communicate and do what human beings are supposed to do, and that's socialize, we're social people. We're social creatures at the end of the day, and if we all embrace that and stop being so fucking hateful and hate driven, get over it. And people, we can all be happy together, man. And so that was the concept for the Morning Brew. And it really caught hold and it's taken off. And I'm very thankful that people appreciate that show, man.
Now we are getting some questions from our viewers. The first one was from ADX Nation member Pamela Kilponen. Sonny, do you know many women felons? I don't know what felon is, but
a felon is somebody that caught a felony. And I sure do. Okay. But before I answer that question, you have a comment right there from a guy named Mike Rue. And if you ever want somebody else's perspective on the penitentiary, Mike Rue and I served many years together in prison, and he has an amazing story to tell himself. And he's one of my best friends in life, and I've learned so much from him as well. But you'll see it right there, Mike Rue, in the comments. I love you, Mike. Thank you so much for the support, bro. You mean the world to me. I know a lot of female felons. I don't know them anymore, but I used to. We used to pen pal female felons all the time in jails, back and forth with other female prisoners just to kill time. But yeah, I don't know so much anymore, but I am married to one. So.
And then the terribly beautiful, attractive Miss V is asking that you said that with money you can have sex with women in prison. How does that happen?
Well, it depends on what penitentiary you're at, but you can really tell. Listen, the corrections officers don't make shit for money. So when you see an attractive female, it doesn't even have to be attractive, but you can. There's ways to get around things. You can smuggle in money. You can hustle and get your own money, and you approach her with $100. Here, I'll give you $100 for a shot of ass. I ain't been laid in years. She's going to take that money and she's going to take you into a broom closet for 5 minutes and let you bunny hump her ass and get your rocks off and be feet.
But
Or,
I mean,
you,
with women.
yeah, with women. Yeah. Like I had an affair with nurses. I mostly went for nurses. So, I would go down to medical and I would start smooth talking the nurse like, hey, how you doing? Yeah. Oh yeah, I like your tattoos. Yeah, I like your tat. You should see this. Blah, blah, blah. Just start smooth talking them, and next thing you know, got a nurse bent over in the friggin', getting it in.
Nice, brother. Then Killviews is asking, how much are prisoners paid for work when they are working there per hour in the States?
It varies, but like porters, the guy that do like the janitorial work, they make like 17 cents an hour, 32 cents an hour at top if they have certifications. But you can work in like the kitchen and you can make like you can make up to like $3 a day. Maintenance workers and tutors, that work in the schools and stuff, they can make up to like $3 a day. So like the best paying gigs you're really going to get in the prison system, you can pull $150 a month off a state job if you have you work a lot of hours in the kitchen or a lot of hours on like maintenance. You can get you can make a decent amount of money, but 150 is probably the tops you're going to pull off unless you have a really specified certification that you can pull $200 or $300 a month. But most people make about $32 a month.
Basically, my opinion is that those prisoners shouldn't get any money for their work. They should just be forced to have hard labor. Like, you have committed a crime, now you have to pay for that, and you can pay for that with your work. How does that sound?
Well, I think they're already being punished. You're taking me and you're putting me in a prison. You're taking me out of the free world and you're putting me into a prison cell. I'm already being punished. So to do that is double punishment. You're double punishing me. You know what I mean? You're forcing me to work. And if you stop paying inmates to work, then your crime goes up. Because if I'm here and I have to go work all day, slave labor for free and bust my ass, and if I don't have anybody in the world that's helping me out, sending me money, I'm going to rob you. I'm going to take your shit because I'm hungry. I need to wash my ass, and I need to have things in prison too. State issue just doesn't get it. And if you're going to give me a little Bob Barker piece of soap or something, I have to still be able to buy commissary and buy things. And if I don't have the money to do it, I'm going to fucking take it from you. So if they're not paying the inmates to work, A, they're not going to work well, and B, the crime is going to fucking skyrocket.
Yeah, I know, man. I was just being provocative bitch, like a son of the bitch I usually am. Like, when I'm having an interview, I'm trying to ask questions that make people to react. So it's not like, Sonny, what is your favorite color? Do you like butterflies? But provocative
butterflies
questions.
Are awesome.
They are, yeah. But today I haven't had a chance to ask any of those questions because you have been like talking all the time, which I'm grateful for you. I mean, I didn't have to think about anything, but we have been here for over an hour, and I guess you have a life. so I thank you for joining us. I really do. I mean, man, that was a fucking honor to have you here. Thanks, you, man. So much.
Thanks, bro.
And I wish you all the best. And I thank also the viewers. And thank you for being here. Thank you, chatters. I am sorry we didn't have that much time to focus on you guys because Sonny was talking about gangbanging and shit. But next time we will. So Thank you, and have a great night, everybody.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you guys.